it's so lovely to be here. I missed it last year, and I really missed it. And it's just glorious to be back, to see so many familiar faces and new ones. I don't think we've ever had such a big audience. So it's wonderful. Welcome back to those of you who are regulars, and welcome to those of you who haven't been here before. I'm going to promise you the most uplifting evening of your year. Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Whitley Awards for International Nature Conservation. They have become known as the Green Oscars, and you'll soon find out why. Tonight, we're here to celebrate WFN's 25th anniversary. I was saying to Ella Whitley, who you will hear a little bit more about, I can't believe she is now 25. It seems only moments ago that we were celebrating her 21st. And this anniversary is celebrating the work of grassroots conservation leaders who are achieving outstanding success in their home countries. But first, to start the evening, please welcome on stage the most inspirational person here, the founder of WFN, Edward Whitley.
Okay, that's absolutely not true, but thank you very much, and welcome, Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen. It's wonderful to have a packed house, and well done getting to your seats. That was a close-run thing. Some things only become clear with hindsight, and I was inspired to set up what's grown into the Whitley Awards when our first daughter, Ella, was born. And I made a pledge to do what I could to protect the beautiful world which she had just arrived in. Now, at the time, I had the idea that rather than using the existing channels available, the best way of doing this would be to find local partners working in their own countries who would emerge as conservation leaders. What's only become clear with hindsight is that so many other people shared this vision, and they've helped us along the way, which is to say the achievements of our winners have only been made possible by the generosity of our donors. And this generosity involves everybody here in this room tonight, who've given so magnificently, given of their time, given their creative ideas, brought their family, friends, plenty of children here tonight, and made this charity thrive. Now, at the outset, I had no expectations of any of this generosity. I assumed it would be a rather solitary quest. But the joy of working together is empowering, and it's enormous, and long-term friendships and partnerships get better and better. All along, the charity has been assisted by these long-term supporters, by all of you, and you've helped the charity grow. For many years, Harry Marshall has made the wonderful films that you'll see tonight. Catherine has not only been a store of wisdom and energy, but she's also been a lightning conductor to attract people and to raise us funds. Sir David Attenborough, of course, has been an iconic inspiration to us all, and Her Royal Highness the Princess Royal has set the standard since becoming our patron in 1999, and in all these years has never missed a single ceremony. 25 years on, I was actually going to say fast forward, but of course it actually has taken us 25 years to get here. But now we have funded almost 200 winners across 80 countries. Our team remains small, focused and loyal. We're stretched. We have only 2 full-time staff and 4 part-time staff, so how could it not be? But we're so proud of the management team, superbly led by Georgina, by Danny, and we're also proud that on average, we've managed to spend 90% of our income supporting conservation. Year after year, we found extraordinary people to fund. We never dictate what anyone should do. Rather, we try to help our winners across all their endeavours. Most of them have a scientific background, but many have started from other backgrounds: tourist guides, sports stars, businessmen and women, lawyers, and one famously a dentist. Now, we worked out never say no to a dentist. And winning an award, that's just the beginning of their journey. We seek to fund them at the right moment, helping the conservation leaders we find to grow their impact. After winning their award, they stay closely in touch with us. They can apply to us for further continuation funding, and you'll hear more about continuation funding later in the evening. We want to report to you, as donors, that the impact of your money is considerable. Many supporters see their donations as an investment in the future, and we agree. Our 25-year impact assessment confirmed that our winners have got great staying power. 97% of them, 97% out of 200, I think that's one and a bit persons. Anyway, 97% are still working for conservation. Your investments are still there and they are growing. 70% of our winners report that within their project sites, populations of key wildlife are either stable or growing. And we try to help beyond the funding. Our winners tell us that the spotlight put on their work is equally important. More than 70% reported that the award opened access to national media, policymakers, and international donors. Over these 25 years, we've distributed some £15 million. And these funds have in turn been leveraged by our winners. They've used them to raise further funds and to expand their work. So by way of example, 5 of our gold winners, they're here with us tonight. They've come back, Angela, Dino, Gladys, Safa and Pablo. They tell us that since they first won their award, they've collectively raised £10 million for those 5 projects. And they cite And they generously cite that our award was the spark which triggered this. Now, what about the next 25 years? The obstacles don't get any easier, and our work continues to be urgent. But equally, our determination has been reinforced by our successes. We've learned a great deal, and in a funny way, we feel like we're just getting going. We're full of energy. We've got tremendous and hard-learned expertise. We've got this around the world, and we want to share this and invest more money. As a working target, we'd like to double our annual income to £2 million. Now, almost half of our winners are currently collaborating with each other, either within their countries or across national borders. And we want to help fund this cross-pollination because it maximizes their collective impact. So, tonight, we look ahead to another 25 years. Well, we renew our commitment to the next generation. Indeed, we want to involve the next generation ever more closely. We want to continue to support past winners and build on their success. And also, we want to find another 200 conservation leaders, because at its heart, the work of our winners addresses the life support systems of this planet. And climate change, population growth, yes, they will certainly challenge conservation. And supporting our winners is really a win for us all. So thank you. Thank you so much, whether long-term donors, whether new, whether curious, whether simply dragged along here by friends for the first time this evening. We are so pleased to have you all. Kate, thank you so much for comparing this evening. Thank you so much for everything you kindly do for us all through the year. Let us enjoy this evening as a celebration of these fantastic leaders. Kate, over to you. You've got some very exciting names to pronounce, by the way, later on.
Thank you, Edward. And I think you'll all agree that 25 years of supporting international conservation efforts is a really wonderful achievement. And as Edward said, here's to the next 25. I am enormously proud to be one of the charity's ambassadors. It's now official. I had to sign a piece of paper and everything. And one of the reasons that I am so proud to be an ambassador is because it is such a phenomenally effective organisation. It's an organisation that is so expert in finding and supporting really great local leaders. And for those of you who haven't been here this evening, and when you meet them, you'll see exactly what I mean. And they are the people who are best placed. There is no one better to deliver conservation in their countries. So the work that this charity does is properly effective and meaningful. The charity champions environmental heroes who lead projects with passion. Again, this is something that you will see repeated through this evening, this extraordinary dedication to their work. And they're using the best available science to guide their actions. And through them, They fund work that is beneficial, and this is what's so key, I think, to WFN. They fund work that is beneficial for local communities as well as for wildlife and as well as habitats. So it's a really rounded, long-term, sensible, pragmatic approach to conservation, and that's why it's so effective. You've heard a little bit about the impact that WFN has had over the last 25 years, but have a look at this wonderful film, and if it doesn't have you reaching for your checkbooks, well, I'm flummoxed. I don't know what will.
"25 years ago, the need for nature conservation was only just becoming apparent. The world was less concerned about habitat destruction, species extinction and global warming. I've been a natural history broadcaster for over 60 years, and I've seen the natural world come under increasing pressure. In that time, the population has grown from 2 to more than 7 billion people, and shows no sign of slowing. Sadly, the exploitation of natural resources grows in line with the population. The Whitley Fund for Nature was set up to address these issues. Founder Edward Whitley was convinced that solutions to the mounting problems were best provided by local champions. The Whitley Award finds local leaders by funding work directly, maximising the amount of money available and channeling it to where it's needed most. Each year, a new generation of 7 or 8 Whitley Award winners joins the ranks of our network. It's one that comprises 200 conservation leaders in some of the most remote, under-resourced and biodiverse places on the planet. The wildlife and local communities in some 80 countries in the developing world have benefited. And this global network of conservationists benefits hugely from royal support.
What is it about the Whitley Fund which sets it apart from any other conservation organisation?
I think it's their ability to find the people who are committed to their own local areas, who are prepared to stand up and argue the toss on behalf of not always just a species, quite often a habitat.
That's one of the key things, isn't it, about the Whitley Fund, that the funds go to local people dealing with local things who really know about it.
Yeah. Many of them have been inspired to take action because they saw what they thought was a real failure and lack of understanding and knowledge. And they've taken the trouble to find out more about the species and their relationship with man.
Whitley Award winners are local environmental heroes who harness the best available science and lead projects with passion. Through them, we support work rooted in community involvement that is pragmatic and creates a lasting impact. I'm proud to be a trustee of the Whitley Fund for Nature, and I've met many award winners. I admire their courage, their commitment, and their ability to affect change. They've taken a difficult career path. It's not lucrative, but it comes with profound responsibility. There are few jobs more important. Winning a Whitley Award is a moment of great achievement. It brings recipients international recognition and helps open fundraising and political doors. With all conservation, effective communication is crucial.
I wanted to start with...
But it goes far beyond an evening award ceremony. Whitley Award winners benefit from a packed week of media training to prepare them for interviews with radio, television and press conferences, and are coached in speech writing and presentation to enhance their global reach. The week culminates in networking events with donors, charities and other conservationists. All of this is key in helping them raise their public profile to maximise the impact of their conservation work, and some are even able to influence environmental policy as a result.
The Whitley Award gives them a status and a clout in their own affairs in their country, which is perhaps unparalleled.
I think you're right, and I know this last year's winners, they were given enormous media coverage, which, you know, amongst other things, is really what you're hoping to do. So many of them work directly with the public, so to raise that profile and to be able to say, look, what you've done is an enormous help. Recognises not just the award winner, but the people who've actually contributed to making it work.
For most of our winners, this is just the beginning of the journey. Over half have gone on to receive additional support through our continuation funding programme. This allows past winners to apply for further support to keep their vital projects running. The majority of our funds are given out through this programme. Since 1994, WFN has given nearly £15 million to conservation projects across the world. The Whitley Fund for Nature has the setup, capacity and know-how to increase our giving.
Every charity has to pay a great deal of attention to how much it spends on its overheads in the offices and how much money gets out there to where the problem is.
We should underline the fact that it is a very small team that runs Whitley. I think it is a very cost-effective organisation, and it gives an enormous amount of support to individuals who have proved that commitment.
We are now limited only by what we can raise.
And the fund has to increase its funds.
That would be very nice. I mean, it has done an incredible job
Excellent.
in the 25 years, and it would be, you would hope that you would be able to go on attracting people who appreciate the individuals and the way they work, which I think is different.
We want to grow not the charity, but what we give, and we need your help. We want to find the next generation of Whitley Award winners. But also, very importantly, we want to invest further in the global network we've built together. There is no greater endorsement for the Whitley Fund for Nature than the achievements of our winners.
Over the last 25 years, we've seen inspiring and far-reaching work by our winners. But this has only been made possible by the equally far-reaching generosity of our donors. We are profoundly grateful for this generosity, which supports our winners, enables them to respond to new threats, and, over the last 25 years, has had outstanding impact.
Our winners' projects are diverse and widespread. Together, they are a strong, unified, global voice for conservation.
And that is the key, that strong, unified voice, that network. It's not just supporting one thing, it's supporting this terrific kind of collaboration between different conservation heroes in different parts of the world, but bringing them all together here for the week to be able to meet each other, to exchange experiences, to network is vital. And again, that's one of the things that I think this charity does so well, and what makes it different from other conservation organisations. And it is such an inspiration, I think you'll agree, to see the array of winners that have been supported by WFN over the last 25 years, and to learn what goes on during the week that they are here to really help capitalise on the international profile boost that comes with winning a Whitley Award. And this year is no different. So, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our 6 new Whitley Award winners who will each receive £40,000 in funding to support their vital work protecting endangered species and their habitats. So, I'm delighted to introduce our first 2018 Whitley Award winner, Munir Virani, who is developing a strategy to halt the incidental poisoning of Kenya's vultures caught in the conflict between people and predators.
Kenya is home to some of the planet's most celebrated wildlife. But they compete for space with local pastoralists. When livestock are killed by big cats, their carcasses are sometimes poisoned in retaliation, with many unintended victims. Conservationist Munir Virani is campaigning to reduce wildlife poisoning and increase awareness of the vulture's essential position in this dynamic ecosystem.
Well, let's face it, vultures are not sexy. Having healthy vultures means having healthy livestock, healthy wildlife, and most importantly, you have healthy humanity.
His team at the Peregrine Fund are working with local Maasai and delivering outstanding results.
Through our Maasai mentorship program, it has been fantastic to see how the young Maasai mentors that we have trained 5 years ago are now all grown up and are playing a really responsible role within their communities.
Munir's Whitley Award will be used to extend his successful campaign into Kenya's Southern Rift Valley. Focusing on areas of high-risk poisoning, he will work with pastoralists and other NGOs to reduce livestock predation. Conservation leaders will be trained to champion anti-poisoning programs in their communities and research undertaken to conserve these scavenging birds. By investing in the next generation of conservation leaders, Munir's program is helping to eradicate poisoning and ensure vultures remain an integral part of the African savanna.
Long life vultures!
Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I spent much of my childhood playing cricket, and nearly 30 years ago, I was all set to play in the Cricket World Cup for Kenya. But then, I met a biologist who promised me long, grueling hours in the field with very low pay and the demands of academia. But he also gave me the opportunity to hold birds of prey, these fierce, untouchable masters of the sky. When I heard the piercing cry of the African fish eagle at dawn, I knew that was my calling. I could not ignore it, not even for cricket. Little did I know at the time that I was joining one of the greatest conservation movements. Vultures, birds that have evolved from dinosaurs millions of years ago, are about to be wiped out. In my lifetime, Africa has lost more than 2/3 of its vultures. People find vultures revolting because of their association with death, and sometimes, not to mention, with politicians. But vultures provide billions of dollars worth of free services for humanity by keeping diseases at bay. Because vultures nearly disappeared from India and numbers of feral dogs exploded, India is having to spend close to $1.5 billion a year to treat cases of rabies. We in Africa simply cannot afford this. But there is still hope for the vultures. They are not the ugly Bettys, but angels who sustain life because of death, making way for new life. They deserve a chance to thrive and soar. I am honored and humbled to accept this award and want to thank my family and my friends, and especially my colleagues in Africa and at the Peregrine Fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Munir. Our next speaker is Kirsten Forsberg, who's enabling safe passage of giant manta rays in Peru's coastal waters with the help of local fishers.
The Pacific Ocean off Peru supports thousands of fishermen. And this ecosystem is home to the largest species of ray, the giant manta. With a wingspan of up to 9 meters, these animals often get entangled in fishing gear. Peruvian biologist Kirsten Forsberg founded her NGO Planeta Oceano to protect marine life, including these rare ocean titans.
What we've been working with the past few years is to engage coastal communities to take leadership in conserving giant manta rays.
As well as lobbying to get the rays legal protection, a feat which made front-page news, Kirsten also works in the community to raise awareness of mantas and their plight. She is using her entrepreneurial spirit to demonstrate that mantas are worth more alive.
We're engaging fishermen as ambassadors in manta ray ecotourism and giving them technical and financial support in order for them to start pioneering a service that had never been developed yet in Peru.
With her Whitley Award, Kirsten is expanding the Manta Ecotourism Association run by local fishermen and ramping up efforts to reduce accidental bycatch. Her team will work with youth groups and increase the number of citizen scientists to help monitor manta populations. Thanks to this award, Kirsten will continue to increase the dedicated network of people working together to protect giant manta rays and build appreciation of this magnificent species as part of Peru's natural and cultural heritage.
Like many of you, I fell in love with nature as a child. 10 years ago, I was an undergraduate biology student visiting coastal communities in northern Peru. What I saw was people exposed to overfishing and pollution that was greatly affecting their day-to-day lives. Yet what amazed me was that these people were eager to convene and start building solutions. With them, we developed what is my life mission, Planeta Oceano, an organization focused on empowering communities in marine conservation. In 2011, fishermen and volunteers discovered this majestic manta ray population in Peru, one of the largest populations of giant mantas in the world that was severely overlooked. Together, we engaged more people more partners, and a Peruvian government to legally protect this species and pioneer its conservation. Support from this Whitley Award will now help us scale manta protection. It will develop manta ecotourism, enhance research, and engage communities in caring about the ocean. But ultimately, it will scale up our model in which everyone and all people can contribute to marine conservation. People like Edgardo, the fisherman that captured a giant manta ray and that later became an ambassador for manta ray ecotourism. Or volunteers like Josue, the 4-year-old that now 10 years later is a 14-year-old leading an environmental club in his community. I am therefore honored to receive this award in representation of everyone Planeta Oceano works with. At a time where the ocean needs our help urgently, we need to start engaging more people to protect it. As we say in Planeta Oceano, we are all part of this planet ocean, and it depends on all of us to conserve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kirsten. We're going to travel now to the Democratic Republic of Congo to hear from Dominique Bikaba.
The mountain forests in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo are home to the world's only population of the Grauer's gorilla. But a surging global demand for minerals used in electronics has increased mining in gorilla habitat. Whilst fragmentation, poaching and civil unrest have left them critically endangered. Dominique Bikaba became interested in wildlife after visiting the forest with his grandmother.
I think it's our responsibility to preserve these subspecies and to assure that the coming generations, our children, our grandchildren, can also see gorillas.
Dominique's NGO, Strong Roots, is helping reduce the rapid decline of Grauer's gorilla by protecting a vital forest corridor that connects 2 existing reserves. Dominique has worked closely with surrounding villages to eradicate local primate hunting. But in an area battling with poverty, food security is key.
If we don't improve the livelihood for communities, that can be a big challenge to preserve this forest and the remaining population of great apes.
With this Whitley Award, Strong Roots will increase crop production and training people in agroforestry to help reduce poverty and dependency on the forest. A primate monitoring team made up of ex-poachers and local women will collect vital data on gorillas in unprotected forests. Dominique's ultimate goal is to gain legal protection for this community forest, and in doing so, safeguard a vital habitat corridor for this magnificent great ape.
The discovery of important minerals in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has brought in an armed conflict where many millions of Congolese were killed, including many of my relatives. I know how powerful grandmothers are. At a very young age, my grandmother used to take me to the forest, spending many hours a day, showing me where and how they lived in this forest. I remember her saying, "This is the land of your ancestors. This is where they lie." Local communities were kicked out of this forest when it became a national park in the 70s, leaving these people in a very high level of poverty because of losing their traditional lands. Grauer's gorillas are threatened by habitat loss and poaching associated with illegal mining and conflicts. Gorillas have become critically endangered, and scientists warn of the urgent need to address threats, or they could be extinct in 25 years from now. This is the time to act. If nothing is done now, Grauris gorillas will be gone forever. With the Whitley Award, we will document the remaining population of Grauris gorillas living in community forest. We will improve livelihood for food security for communities depending on this forest for subsistence. We are also seeking to establish a protected corridor for gorillas connecting two protected areas in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. I dedicate this award to all communities who are helping to give a safer home to gorillas in Congo. It's also dedicated to my grandmother, who inspired and nourished my conservation ambitions since my childhood. I wish she was here. I wish she was alive and was here this evening. I am the man she wanted me to be. Thank you very much.
I will just add, if I may, Dominique, that I went to the Democratic Republic of Congo last October. I didn't see your project, but I did see your gorillas, and I cried. They were and are the most extraordinary animals, but what really struck me was the astonishing dedication of the Congolese people working with them and with the communities to protect them. So, all power to you. Our next speaker is Cesar Rahman. Cesar Rahman is leading a community conservation project in Bangladesh to protect Asia's largest tortoises.
Bangladesh is the most densely populated country in the world, with a growing population of over 160 million people. Hidden in the extreme southeast of the country lie the Chittagong Hill Tracts. Little known to the outside world, this biodiversity hotspot is home to 30 globally threatened species and 11 indigenous tribal groups. After conservationist Cesar Rahman discovered the critically endangered Arakan forest turtle and rediscovered a population of Asian giant tortoises here, he set about safeguarding this shrinking forest.
I was extremely saddened by the amount of destruction that I faced. I realized that if we want to save the wildlife, I have to work with the local people and the local community. Even if our goal is to prevent the extinction of these highly threatened turtles and tortoises, through our program, the local communities are getting directly benefited.
With his Whitley Award, Cesar and his NGO, the Creative Conservation Alliance, will work with villagers to increase the number of conservation areas whilst reviving sustainable livelihoods with products sold through ethical business platforms. Former hunters will be trained as biologists, gathering essential scientific data and serving as ambassadors for conservation in their communities. Using these little-known reptiles as a flagship, Cesar's work is combining technology and traditional wisdom to strengthen habitat protection and empower communities to manage this important ecosystem.
For as long as I can remember, I have been fascinated with nature. Growing up in Dhaka, in a traditional middle-class family, I was expected to become a doctor or an engineer. But thankfully, I was a stubborn child, and I chose to follow my dreams. I visited the remote Chittagong Hill Tracks for the first time in 2011 to survey for rare reptiles and amphibians. And with each trip, I would make new species discovery. I soon fell in love with the landscape, the wildlife, and the people. But with each trip, I came back with more and more distressed by the immense destruction of the forest that I had come to love so deeply. I realized something needed to be done. I began to work on to improve the life of the local people and to protect the forest they depend on. What had begun as a personal exploration has grown into a fully fledged conservation program fighting for the preservation of the country's hottest biodiversity hotspot. However, in conservation, the victories are temporary and the defeats are permanent. As we speak here tonight, there is a plan to make roads within the core forest area of my study site. The roads will lead to destruction of my country's last remaining forest habitat for giant tortoises, elephants, leopards, and sun bear. And it would damage the watershed for 2 major rivers in the region. Tonight, I call on the people in power to take action to save this forest. Let's not build roads or develop projects that destroy the habitat for all this majestic wildlife. However, all hope is not lost yet. I truly believe in my government and my people, and we are a strong, resilient nation and have overcome much greater obstacles than our own indifference. We should show the world that we care. Tonight, I would also like to share this award with the local communities who have shared with me their homes, their wisdom, and their trust. And to them I say, I will not let you down. Thank you, Whitley Fund for Nature, for the support, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Caesar. Now we're going to hear from our next winner, Anjali Watson, who is using leopards as the flagship to create a wildlife corridor and foster coexistence in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka is the second largest producer of tea in the world. But this has created a heavily fragmented landscape. With the growing population, forests are increasingly encroached upon, and people frequently now share territory with the island's apex carnivore, the leopard. Ecologist Anjali Watson was inspired from a young age to protect her native fauna, and has made it her life goal. Now working in the Central Highlands, Anjali is focused on the conservation of forest corridors that link vital habitat and allow safe passage for wildlife.
We've realized that these small ridges really are extremely important for overall conservation of the larger landscape.
Anjali is championing the leopard as an umbrella species whose protection supports conservation of the region's wider biodiversity. By engaging directly with tea estate owners and local communities, Anjali is working to safeguard important leopard refuges and reduce human-carnivore encounters.
In this tea landscape, we require all of the tea management companies to come on board here. That really is the key, I think, for long-term conservation here in this landscape as well as in Sri Lanka as a whole.
With her Whitley Award, Anjali's NGO, the Wilderness and Wildlife Conservation Trust, will secure protection of an important ridge corridor and foster human-leopard coexistence. Members of the community will be trained as leopard watchers, and conservation efforts will help tea estates qualify for environmental certification schemes. boosting profits while strengthening protection of Angeles' biodiverse homeland.
Good evening. For thousands of years, one species of big cat has been king of my country's jungles and remains so. Unchallenged by competition, it has ranged throughout the island, proud, agile, stunning. Our very own Sri Lankan leopard, found nowhere else on the planet. Having emerged from a 30-year civil war, my country now stands at a crossroads. We can take the well-trodden path of rapid development and ecological destruction, or we can choose to lead and develop holistically. The leopard is an umbrella under which all of wildlife can be conserved, and it can and must play this essential role for Sri Lanka, especially in our magical Central Highlands that holds my country's waters. Together with my husband, who has silently fought the good fight with me, and our ever-dynamic team, we plan to do just this. The Whitley Award will enable us to move forward proactively, to work with tea companies, estate workers, plantation communities, and the government, to conserve our vital mountains and the leopards that still roam here. For no matter how many times I see the leopard, my heart races. I am almost in a panic. It is always like seeing it for the first time. And I want my daughters and my daughters' daughters to be able to have that very same feeling. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjuli. Our final speaker is Olivier Nsengimana, who is spearheading efforts to prevent poaching of Rwanda's grey-crowned crane and conserve their wetland habitat.
Rwanda has the fastest growing economy in Central Africa. But as the country prospers, natural resources are coming under increasing pressure. As wetlands are converted for agriculture, grey-crowned crane nest sites are being lost, and the birds themselves are at the centre of a booming illegal pet trade. Veterinarian Olivier Nsengimana set up his organisation, the Rwanda Wildlife Conservation Association, to address the situation and raise awareness across the country.
The grey-crowned crane is seen as a sign of wealth and longevity. This has created a huge market, a demand. So people have been wanting to have them in their gardens.
Olivier has adopted a multi-pronged approach to tackle the threats to cranes and their habitat. His team have registered all illegally owned cranes to prevent any more being taken into captivity, and have rehabilitated over 100 for return to the wild.
I realized the threats that cranes are facing, they are human-induced, and you can't succeed without including humans, especially local communities. So I tried to think of every single factor and find a strategy to come around it.
Thanks to his Whitley Award, Olivier will scale up outreach efforts to encourage reporting of illegal activities and combat poaching. Local communities will restore roost sites, planting more than 500 native trees. And a network of volunteers will be trained to monitor crane populations throughout Rwanda. Combined, these efforts will safeguard these emblematic birds while increasing protection of the largest wetland in Central Africa.
Yes, I was flying.
I've seen many kids here. All kids have their favorite superheroes. Spider-Man, Captain America, Wonder Woman, the list is long. As a young boy, I never knew about those superheroes. My family didn't have a television. Growing up in a rural village, my friends and I ran around and enjoyed nature. One spectacular sight was the great crown cranes, especially when we were collecting water for our families. We all wished we could fly like them. They were our superheroes. Guess what? My daughter, who is now 4 years old, she could make a sound of a crane before she could say any other word. I later realized that cranes were nearly extinct in my country because of the demand for pet trade and as well the loss of their habitat. So I decided to go and save my superhero. In 1994, when the first Whitley Award was given, my country, Rwanda, was suffering from the dark genocide. There was no hope for life for many people, also for wildlife. I was only 9 years old. If you had told me that in 24 years I'll be standing here receiving the Whitley Award, I would have said, no, it's not possible. The hope of life for many Rwandans was reduced to a second, a minute, if longer, an hour. Growing up post-genocide, I wanted to help rebuild my country, and conservation is how I chose to contribute. The Whitley Award is a huge boost to our team and our effort to realize that dream. So thank you to Whitley Fund for Nature and to all our other supporters for helping us make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olivier. For many of you who are involved or interested in wildlife conservation, it can sometimes feel a bit like a losing battle. But that's why I love this evening. That's why I love these awards. That's why I feel so optimistic when I walk out of this room every year, meeting people like our winners this evening. And one thing that strikes me again and again and again is that we are in the presence not of just great scientists. They have to be so inventive. They have to be their own PR people. They have to engage communities, people of all ages, whether they're young school children who hopefully will be the future conservationists, right through to business leaders, to politicians. That is an extraordinary skill set to put on any one person. And yet, our winners tonight absolutely epitomize what is brilliant about grassroots conservation. Congratulations to all of you. The natural world, as we've found out this evening, is facing significant challenges. But as our winners demonstrate, there are many, many positive stories out there, very worth celebrating. And now to hand out the trophies to our new winners, it's always a great honour to welcome on stage to present this year's awards the patron of the Whitley Fund for Nature, Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal. So our first Whitley Award this evening is the Whitley Award donated by WWF UK. And the winner is Munir Farani. The next award is the Whitley Award, donated by the Corcoran Foundation, and the winner is Kirsten Forsberg. Our third award is the Whitley Award, donated by the Arcus Foundation, and the winner is Dominique Bicaba. The next award is the Whitley Award, donated by the William Brake Charitable Trust in memory of William Brake. And the winner is Caesar Rahman. The fifth award is the Whitley Award, donated by the Garfield Weston Foundation, and the winner is Angeli Watson. And our final award is the Whitley Award, donated by the Savitri Wani Charitable Trust, and the winner is Olivier Nsingamana. So well done to all our Whitley Award winners this year. Winning a Whitley Award is a moment of great achievement, but this is only the beginning of the journey, because conservation doesn't happen overnight, and it does require a sustained commitment to be truly effective. So after winning their initial awards, Whitley Fund for Nature stays in touch with all the winners and offers them the chance of repeat funding through the continuation funding programme. Over half of all Whitley Award winners have gone on to win continuation funding, making it the charity's largest and most in-demand grants programme by far. And it's really where the Whitley Fund for Nature is having the biggest impact on the ground. So let's have a look now and see how it works.
Winning a Whitley Award is only the start of the relationship, the tip of an iceberg.
Kind of like the Oscars of conservation.
All Whitley Award winners can apply for continuation funding, awarding them further money to scale up successful projects.
Receiving continuation funding allows us as conservationists to take our ideas further and to develop them into truly sustainable solutions for nature.
I was doing this 12 years battle to stop the killing of dolphins. In conservation, it is very important to have long-term process. The continuous funding helps you to build a program with different steps.
My continuation funding was used to focus the campaigns that I'm doing now. The longer-term presence enables you to develop a relationship with the local communities and with the government, and you get the respect from both, and then you get more effective.
Continuation funding has allowed my work to go from reaching thousands of farmers to actually reaching millions of people across the world.
Each year, WFN gives over 2/3 of its funding to support previous winners, making it our largest grants programme.
Our ability to go on supporting them is limited only by what we can raise.
So we are, of course, extremely grateful to the generous donors who have chosen to give exclusively to the continuation funding programme, which, as Edward said in the film, is limited only by what we can raise. And I would like to do a special welcome. It's a little bit like a kind of family reunion this evening, because we have got some of our past winners here this evening. I'd like to just invite you all to stand up. And I think I had the enormous honour of being here when many of them got their first awards, and do speak to them this evening. Their stories are truly inspiring. And they'll tell you that the ability to reapply for funds when they need them to expand their work or address emerging threats is a vital source of support. So I would just like to emphasise how much the charity appreciates those of you who give to continuation funding. Major donors, friends, donors alike, thank you. Keep it coming. That's my ambassador voice. It wasn't in the script. Now, we have the top prize for the night. It is the Whitley Gold Award, and it's worth £60,000. And it's donated by the Friends and Scottish Friends of WFN. And it recognises a previous winner who's made an outstanding contribution to conservation. The Gold Award represents the pinnacle of the WFN journey, with the recipient being a past Whitley Award winner who's also received continuation funding and achieved truly great things for conservation. Each year, the gold winner joins the Whitley Awards judging panel, as well as acting as a mentor to the new winners during the awards week in London. So let's see who's won the prize this year.
The penguin, one of the most perfectly adapted birds on the planet. Social, graceful, and elegant.
I don't know if I picked them or they picked me. I don't know exactly how it...
Even in perfect conditions, penguins could do with a little help.
The first time I visited a penguin colony and I was surrounded by almost 500,000 penguins, I knew that protecting penguins was the mission of my life.
2010 Whitley Award winner Pablo Boboroglu was inspired to set up the Global Penguin Society in response to extreme pressures facing them.
A penguin is important in my view, because they are excellent indicators of the health of the ocean.
Pablo saw that most penguins are facing similar threats. On land, habitat loss, introduced predators, and nest disturbance are reducing their breeding success. In the water, a lack of food due to overfishing and climate change combined with an increase in marine pollution is causing colonies to shrink. Pablo has devised solutions to tackle all of these problems head-on.
We work on science, on management, and on education. Those are the three components that are key for success. What we do is we gather the information that is needed to guide conservation action, but also empower the communities so they are aware of what's going on, because the communities have been very useful to convince politicians about the need to do something.
Impressively, this has helped Pablo spearhead the conservation of over 3 million hectares of marine and coastal areas, including creation of the largest UNESCO biosphere reserve in Argentina. A huge awareness program has encouraged people to champion these flightless birds, whilst over 6,000 children have joined educational trips to penguin colonies. Pablo's successful work has not gone unnoticed. Interviews with global media stations have helped raise the profile of the threats facing marine wildlife and even got oceans onto the UN political agenda. Pablo's Whitley Gold Award will be used to further protect threatened penguin colonies across the world with the development of a global penguin conservation agenda. Research will inform large-scale action, protected area designation, and fisheries management, balancing local guardianship with national and international protection.
People that work in conservation, we ask ourselves, why do we do this? Sometimes we take risks, sometimes we are threatened. The only way to be healthy is to be connected to wildlife. We work to protect wildlife and to protect the environment because that's the key for happy people. So we benefit penguins, we benefit the oceans, but we also benefit people.
Thank you. Your Royal Highness, fellow Whitley Award winners, friends and supporters, it's official, penguins are the mission of my life. For me, they represent the magnificence of wildlife, but at the same time, its fragility. I admire penguins because they're loyal, they're brave and determined. They can also be tough, but they need our help to cope with the main threats caused by humans. Today, it is a very special day for penguins because it is World Penguin Day. So happy Penguin Day to all of you. Penguins have been my boss for almost 3 decades. And during that time, we have worked under very challenging circumstances. And sometimes when we work in conservation, we ask ourselves, does anybody care about the work that we're doing? Is it at all important? But the fuel for the fire in our hearts is the support we receive from conservation organizations like Whitley Fund for Nature. 8 years ago, I received the Whitley Award, followed by the continuation funding. That support triggered the consolidation of the Global Penguin Society, which is an international organization that protects all penguin species in the planet and also their habitats. The Whitley Gold Award will allow us now to create more marine protected areas and to generate more science useful for conservation. And we will support the development of a global penguin conservation agenda. In addition, we are going to expand our educational work with the kids so we can instill a conservation culture. And finally, we are going to assess the magnitude of the illegal traffic of penguins in the planet. Penguins are extremely perfect indicators of the health of the oceans, as you have seen in the film. The well-being of our planet depends on the condition of our seas. However, only 2% of our oceans are strictly protected. The oceans are under threat now as never before in human history. As David Attenborough highlighted in Blue Planet 2 BBC series, pollution is one of the main threats now. Every year, 8 million tons of plastics ends up in the ocean where it can be lethal. So everyone here, every single one of us, can play a role to making a small change in our daily lives. And I invite you to please consider avoiding single-use plastics. For millions of years, human beings, all of us, we have evolved immersed in natural environments. But we forget nature, we move away from nature, and we forget that nature keeps us mentally and physically healthy. So please keep nature close to you and your family. Teach your children and your peers to love and respect nature, as one day they can become a conservationist too. This is my hope for the future. I thank my family, friends, and supporters, and all of you here tonight, especially my wife, Laurita. We both share the passion for conservation, and believe me, she has been the most amazing life partner a penguin can have. I am so deeply honored and grateful to receive this Whitley Gold Award, especially in this Whitley Fund for Nature 25th anniversary year. Together, we are all here celebrating conservation successes thanks to the vision of one person, Edward Whitley. So on behalf of all of us, so his vision, together with the hard work of his team, made all this possible. So on behalf of all of us here tonight and the nearly 200 Whitley winners, I want to extend our gratitude for their invaluable impact in the conservation of this planet. Thank you so much.
Don't go anywhere. Next year, I'm going to get Pablo to do the awards. It's lovely to see you again.
Great
do you
to see
remember
you.
you told a joke when we were last here when you were getting yet another award, and you told a joke about Messi. I had no idea what he was talking about. I thought he was talking about my hair. Apparently it's a footballer or something.
That's right, a soccer player, Beckham, yes, yes.
Anyway, it was lovely to see you and very many congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, as Pablo said, a very happy World Penguin Day to everyone. And it is always inspiring to hear about what you've been up to and your achievements and your vision for the future, not only with your work with penguins, but your work with conservation globally. And now I would like to invite Her Royal Highness, our patron, to give you your award. And now Her Royal Highness is going to say a few words.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, not for the first time, I feel that I'm extra to requirements after the work of all our winners, who've very eloquently and visually sold them both themselves and their topics so accurately. And I hope I don't need to encourage you to support further, but I'm going to, nonetheless. We do celebrate 25 years of the conservation success stories, and to Edward and his team for building on that success, we owe them a great debt of gratitude. But we've also built on the remarkable network of winners around the world, and what is a truly global impact, I think, from all of them. And we can reflect, as we have been on those 25 years, but we can always, and possibly more importantly, look to how we're going to maintain that in the future, certainly for the next 25 years. Part of that will involve me in investing in some new outfits, I think, because I can't keep up. So, especially you get reminded of it every time you come to us. Passage of time. Anyway. But more importantly, we're reminding ourselves of the real diversity of people, environments, and species that the individual award winners have represented over those years. And the importance for staying in touch with those award winners and underlining the importance of the continuation funding to support that project expansion and just to enhance the impact that we have as an organisation, but they have as winners. And it gives that to the individual winners. I think it gives them a breathing space to take some of that pressure of constantly looking for funds to maintain the level of work that they need to do, and to give them that encouragement in building relationships. Not always easy relationships, I have to say, because they can be very contrary, but it gives them that breathing space to do that as they progress. Now that, not very surprisingly, has raised a major challenge for us, and certainly in the 25th anniversary, we're looking to double our fundraising target this year, raising an additional £1 million for conservation and for recognising how crucial it is to have that continued support from our existing donors and to encourage those new donors to come on board. But as I mentioned before, I hope tonight, and our individual winners, has made that argument a relatively straightforward one, and you will have been sufficiently inspired by what they have been doing and saying to feel that you want to join them on that journey. And I think by donating to WFN, every donor can consider themselves a direct partner to the Whitley Award winners. And as an organisation, we channel as much funding as possible directly to work on the ground where it is needed most. I hope you have confidence in our ability to do that. But we also know that results don't happen just in a year or maybe two. They do require funding over multiple years. This is a long-term investment. This is about that building of support. So long-term investment, continuation funding, really vital to sustain success for our award winners. And after 25 years, WFN probably has a growing responsibility, not just to find the winners, which is quite a responsibility given the numbers that come forward, but to support them, because we have to trust our judgment and support them in the future, and that is a responsibility that we have. But as I say, those of you who come tonight and those who follow through digital technology or whatever route, I'm sure you feel as inspired as this organisation, as WFN does, and those regular supporters do, on the work that has been done and that we've been able to track their successes. We didn't do most of that work. That's down to the individual winners, and it is your ability to support them which has made them so effective in that long term. And then we're reaping extraordinarily good harvests from their success. I hope that also that every year after this we can, those of you who've taken an interest, we can stay in touch with each of you. And to thank our loyal donors and friends here tonight, to welcome newcomers, and I hope you will join us and become long-term supporters in the future, because it is critical that we commit to that. Having been able to judge the success over 25 years in the most encouraging way, that we can really look forward to making an even bigger impact over the next 25 years, and that we are ably led in that work by our individual award winners and our Gold Award winner. And their eloquence, their commitment and determination sets us a challenge which we shouldn't want to fail. Thank you.